How's it going, guys? Cody back again, dropping yet another video. Right, guys, this is another story on the BBC News website. Alarming story, but not shocking. I'll put a link in the description below like I always do. And this is about a hotline for prisoners' families that's not being answered, says a report. Now, anyone that's tried to get through to a prison, people might think, well, you only ring a prison just to book a visit, right? Obviously, that's not the case, right? You might be worried for the health, safety, and well-being of your loved one. They might have wrote you a letter where it's out of character, or they're talking about suicide or dark thoughts, or they've rang you from the prison phone or a mobile phone, because obviously they're banned, but they're everywhere. And they're not themselves. They're talking out of character. They're talking about, get on with your life without me. I can't do this anymore. Things like that. And prisoners' families are worried for the health, safety, and general well-being of their loved ones. And it could be actually a critical stage where the prisoner might have a history of self-harm. He might have tried suicide before, and all these different things, right? And the hardest thing in the world to do, right, from a prisoner's family's perspective, is to try and get through to the prison. And I've had this problem myself where people try to book visits and everything, and they're ringing and they're ringing and they're ringing, and then there's no answer, or it rings out, or you go through this generic bullshit number and the calls are not answered, or you get through to somebody and you say, oh, right, can I speak to the safer in custody officer? Can I speak to the chaplain? Right? And they say, what's it about? And you tell them what it's about. Oh, I'm worried about the health, safety and well-being of my loved one. And they'll say, well, pass the message on. And they never do. That's when they answer the phone, guys. This is alluding to when they don't answer the phone. I'm going to read the story. I'm going to do my bit at the end. This can be the difference. These hotlines are massive, right? And they serve a purpose, but everything's hard work in prison, and we all know that prisoner officers do not give a shit about prisoners for the most part. I'm going to read the story. BBC News website, link in the description below like we always do. Headline reads, Hotline for prisoners' family not being answered, report says. Dozens of prisons across England and Wales are failing to operate emergency telephone lines to help prevent suicide and self-harm, a report has revealed. Just let me go back. Telephone lines to help prevent suicide, self-harm were not being answered, a report has revealed. The research shows a hotline for relatives of prisoners to call if they have concerns about an inmate was not being answered, or had not even been set up in more than 1/3 of jails. When there was an emergency line, most calls went to an answering machine. The Ministry of Justice said the findings were unacceptable. In a statement, the MOJ pledged immediate action to address the problem and asked prisons to ensure that it's sorted out within the next 24 hours. That won't happen. The availability of a dedicated safer in custody telephone line for families to flag concerns about a prisoner's physical or mental health was a key recommendation in a review by Lord Farmer, which had been commissioned by the government. The review was published in 2017 amid mounting concern about the rising tide of self-harm and suicides in our prisons. Figures from the Ministry of Justice for the 12 months to September 2019 show there were 90 self-inflicted deaths, one more than the previous year, and in the 12 months to June, 60,594 incidents of self-harm, a whopping increase of 22%. Lives may depend on it. The Prison Reform Trust, or the PRT, together with the Prison Advice and Care Trust and the Charity Inquest, conducted research by trying to call 119 jails to test whether Lord Farmer's proposal had been implemented. The research seen by the BBC shows that 22 prisoners had no publicly advertised hotline. In another 22, the number was not answered and was not working, or was transferred through to a general switchboard. Of the 75 numbers that were directed to safer custody departments, 75 calls, guys, 62 went through to an answer phone. Only 13 calls were immediately picked up by a member of staff. Peter Dawson, director of the PRT, said, Lord Farmer's report demanded action and the prison service promised it, but this shows the problem is a very, very long way from being solved. The Prison Reform Trust said, poor arrangements for families to get in touch with prisons have been identified in inquests into the deaths of prisoners, including that of Jordan Hullock. God bless Jordan Hullock. The 19-year-old died of natural causes at Doncaster Prison in 2015, but an inquest jury identified serious failures and shortcomings in his case. According to the Prison Reform Trust, the inquest heard evidence when Jordan stopped communicating, his mother emailed and phoned the prison with her concerns, but to no avail. And there's a picture of Jordan, which I'll put at the start. God bless him. Mr. Dawson said, lives may depend on the ability to get an urgent message through. Every prison should have a system in place and be testing it regularly. Never rung back. In another case, one family member told researchers they had contacted the Safer in Custody line 20 to 25 times between January and June of this year. About 40% of the time, someone picks up and they will check on him and then ring me back, but they have never rung me back, the relative said. On one occasion, I left a message 4 times before they rang me back. The Ministry of Justice said the findings of this report are unacceptable and we've already taken immediate action. No, they fucking don't. I'm sick to death of fucking bollocks that they come out with. Oh, as soon as they say something, oh, we're already on it. Bollocks. The findings of the report are unacceptable and have already taken immediate action to address the concerns, with governors ensuring that family members are able to speak to the staff if they have information about a prisoner's well-being. The department has asked senior managers to give a personal guarantee that effective communication systems are in place within each prison. And to underline the urgency, they've asked for this to be done by the end of the day. It's not going to happen like that though, is it? The study comes as a separate report by the Commons Justice Committee said, the prison system is an enduring crisis of safety and decency. MPs criticised announcements about building new prison places to accommodate tougher sentences. Too often we have seen what might be called policy by press notice without a clear vision for the future of the prison system, the report said. While new prison places are welcome, no they're not. They do nothing to improve the condition of the current prison estate, much of which is an appalling state of disrepair, it adds. Fucking hellfire. Fuming. Fucking wind me up. When stories, guys, and I get fucking wound up with this because they're full of hot air. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck if a prisoner's suicidal. They don't give a fuck if the prison takes his own life. They don't care. Right? And it says there, oh, they said it'll be implemented by the end of the immediate action. We're taking action now. No, you're not. The Lord Farmer review was done in 2017. 2.5 years. We're nearly in 2020, people. Right? In 2 months exactly, it will be the 1st of January 2020, right? And these people don't care. They don't give a shit. Now, I'm going to go into something right now. There's a certain website, right? Now, there's a certain website that I will put in a link in the description below, right? And I've covered this on a vlog, actually. And it's actually already helped somebody. I'm not going to say it saved their life. But what it was, a mother of a prisoner reached out to me on Facebook. She saw my channel. Lovely lady. Very intelligent lady from the northeast. Her son was in prison, and her son was going out with the ex-girlfriend of one of the main people from this place in the northeast, right? Very naughty kid, right? Dangerous kid, right? Now he found out that this lad who ended up in prison, this mother's son, had ended up in prison and put a price on his head from outside of the jail, right? So people were trying to cash in, trying to take this kid out, right? And the kid had significant mental health issues and everything like that. Now, me personally, I wouldn't do what the prisoner did. He went to a screw and said, "Look, I'm in danger. I'm in danger. My life's in danger here." The prison officer turned a blind eye and just dismissed it. He then put a comp one in, which is a complaint form. It didn't make it off the wing, right? He complained in person to senior officers, to prison officers. Nobody did anything, right? The mother of this prisoner was desperate. She reached out to me on Facebook. She said, "Cody, you don't know me." And I said, "I don't know how I can help you, sweetheart." Like, not being rude or abrupt or anything. I just said, "I don't know how I can help you." She said, "Well, I'm not sleeping. My son's in danger. He's looking over his shoulder. He's asked to be placed on protection to get him out of general population. He was a general population prisoner. He wasn't a wrong un. But people were trying to kill him off. Right? Now, I said to her, I'm not like, she said, I've tried ringing the prison, I've tried going through the chaplain. And I said, well, the prison, I used to recommend prison chaplains. I used to say that prison chaplains were decent. I've now changed that opinion because I've seen where, I've spoken to many families where the chaplain just doesn't care, doesn't ring them back, and hasn't even been and checked on the health, safety and well-being. And like I say, you've got to think it's a matter of life or death. Now, with this prisoner's mother, I sent her a website and I said, what prison is he in? She told me, and I said, go on this link, scroll down to the prison in question, and when you go onto it, it will generate, if you click on the governor's name, it will give you the prison governor's personal email address, well, not personal email address, work email address. You can email him, tell him you're going to get the CQC involved, the Care Quality Commission, because obviously, like, his mental health was deteriorating and stuff like that. He'd spoken to officers. Tell him you're going to get the press involved. The reason I'm saying get the press involved, tell him you're going to write to your MP, get the CQC involved. I said, because by emailing the person, you're leaving an electronic footprint. There's an electronic paper trail that will show in your sent box that you have sent a direct email from your email address to the prison governor at that prison. Right? These websites are updated regularly, and the prison governor was, via a cross Google search, he was in post as the governor at that prison. So I sent her this website, said scroll down to the governor's to the prison, click on the governor's name, it will generate an email address. Email the governor direct, tell him all your concerns, outline it, tell him you're going to copy this into your MP. And stuff like that, and you're going to go to the press and all this sort of stuff, and you want a response ASAP. Anyway, the lady got this email address off to the prison governor at this particular prison, saying, look, my son is going to be murdered in your prison. He's talking about doing himself in. He's not dealing very well. He's got significant mental health issues. He's asked officers to be moved to go into protection. I personally wouldn't go into protection, but when a prisoner has got significant mental health issues and there's a price on his head, can you really blame that prisoner for going on to protection when prisoners have a rough ride of it anyway? But if you've got a mental illness and you're in prison, it can be a million times worse. Like I say, general population prisoner. Anyway, so she got this email off to the governor. 3 days later, I get a Facebook message from this particular lady saying, I need to thank you so much for sending me that email address for that website, for that prison governor. I emailed him, and he's 3 days, he must have been off. He's got back to me, and he's assured me that it will be sorted, and he personally will look into it. She obviously put across how desperate she was in this email, and like I said, a bit of nudging that she's going to contact the papers and stuff like that, because the prisons don't want the negative headlines, right? So he eventually emailed her back and said, I will personally look into this. She then gets a call from her son. He had been moved from general population to a protection wing. Now, like I said, I personally wouldn't want to share a wing with like wrong guns and everything, and like I say, it doesn't. The protection wings doesn't just house sex offenders, paedophiles, rapists, child murderers, and everything else. We know that, but she said to me, "Well, like, yep, it was no. I think he was moved the day before. He slept better that night in prison. She slept better because she had peace of mind, and she thanked me for sending her for the link and everything, and." Because at the end of the day, that link potentially saved him from either potentially doing himself in or getting murdered. And I know that sounds quite far-fetched, doesn't it? Murdered. It goes on, guys. We saw that the paedophile, depraved paedophile, one of Britain's worst ever paedophiles, Richard Huckle, who travelled across Southeast Asia, abusing children, acting as a humanitarian and everything, was murdered by a rapist in prison at Full Sutton. Right? It goes on. Murders go on in jail, guys. 2 this year that I'm aware of. 1 at Risley of Stephen O'Donnell by Adressé Gray. God bless Stephen O'Donnell, may he rest in peace. Richard Huckle My thoughts and prayers go out to his mum and dad, but not to him particularly. He's a rapist. He's a paedophile, and the rapist does a paedophiling. So the paedophile can't reoffend ever, never be released. Obviously dead, and the rapist will get lifed off now. So goes on. So murder sounds quite far-fetched, but it does go on, and the risk of self-harm and suicide is ever present. Now, like I say, I'll put that link in the description for the website that I've just told you about. You can only click on 1 or 2 prison governors and get the personal email addresses before it tries to charge you for the service. So don't start messing around on prisons you don't need. Just get the governor of the prison that you need, email him, and like I say, mention the press. If it's something to do with mental health or health of that particular prisoner, comes in the local NHS, go to the Care Quality Commission, who are the watchdog for the NHS, write to the governor, say, I'm copying in the local paper into this email, I'm going to the nationals, locals, blah, 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 this is going to be on your head, and I'm going to get my local MP involved, all these things, right? Because it could be a matter of life and death. Now, coming away from the email side of things, right? These hotlines for prisoners' families, guys, like I say, it's imperative that you be able to, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you should be able to ring a prison, not ring a switchboard, not get some fucking generic number, right? They should provide extensions for the chaplain. They should give you the safer in custody officer that should be available 24/7 around the clock inside the prison, right? The fact is, if you were worried about the health, safety and well-being of a loved one, you tried to ring these prisons, you tried to get the hotlines, right? You yourself should try now, if you've got a loved one in prison, try to seek out the hotline number to speak to somebody in that prison in the case of emergency. Don't wait till there's an emergency and your brains are all over the gaff and you're worried about the health, safety and well-being of your loved one. You should have that number now on your fridge, on your mobile phone, saved. Because in that instance where, and it must happen, it definitely happened, where loved ones have written letters, prisoners have written letters to their loved ones, or said over the phone, or said in a text message if they've got a mobile phone, or on the prison phone, and said, babe, I can't do this no more. Enjoy your life, I'm sorry, can't do it. It's happened, right? Now, you just think of the panic, the sheer panic that runs through that prisoner's mother, girlfriend, uncle, sister, auntie, daughter, son, whatever the case may be, right? But when time is of the essence, right, if you can't get through to that number, right, ring 999, simple. Ring 999, tell them the date of birth, the prison number and everything, and just ring 999. If you can't get through on a prison hotline and you can't get through and there's nobody answering, I remember once where someone rang me and said, look, try and get through to this prison. And I rang all these different numbers and I couldn't get through. I finally got through and said, look, you need to check on this prisoner. I'm recording my conversation. Get through to them now. Please go and check on him. And it was for a subscriber. Thank God the prisoner was okay. He hadn't sought suicide as a way out, but he was, suicidal thoughts were there. And it's not a fucking laughing matter, guys. It's really, really not. Time is of the essence, guys, right? And these dickheads, like, don't care about prisoners. They don't care about prisoners. 90 prisoners have left. 92 prisoners last year, right? Not, there was more than that, like with deaths in custody, but 92 prisoners last year, in the whole of last year, took their own life seeking suicide as a way out. So they say. 92 prisoners, right? Self-inflicted death last year. That doesn't take into consideration overdoses, natural causes, medical negligence, all those things. 92 self-inflicted deaths. There's been 90 up to October. There's another 2 months of the year left, guys, yeah? It's not a fucking laughing matter at all. And these hotlines, guys, the stories like this, guys, should alarm people. They really, really should. Now, you've got to ask yourself when watching this video, if you've got a loved one in prison, do you know the hotline for prisoners' families number for the particular prison that your loved one or loved ones is in? Chances are you don't. Get it. I'm going to put a link in the description for the email addresses for prison governors. It's a direct line. It's not a contact number. It is a direct email address. Now, like I said, emails, you'd want to ring, but at the same time as ringing, try and get emails off and everything else. All like I said, and get emails off, get phone calls off. Phone calls are obviously quicker. Emails take a lot longer. But don't stop at anything to make sure that your loved one is okay. Try the prison chaplain, try the prison, try every different number you can fucking get. If you can't get through, 999, ring it. Trust me. You've got to do what you've got to do. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully these stories should alarm people, because what flows from this is prisoners leaving prisons in body bags. Prisoners leaving prisons in body bags, and it goes on. Body bags are as much part of prison life as the understaffing, the drugs, the corruption, the debt, the despair, the anger, the frustration, the mental health, the violence, the kickings from the screws, the medical negligence. Don't even get me started on mental health. Goes on that way. Gonna leave it there, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. The comment in the link in the description will be the email addresses for all prison governors in England and Wales. Leave it there, guys. Cody out.